LSU students in off-campus apartments have a new place to pick up their packages. This Amazon Hub Locker was installed over the summer. The Student Government Disability President says all the crosswalks are audible. I'm here at the intersection of Veterans and Highland, a place Matamoros crosses each day. And well, it isn't. The LSU gymnastics practice facility isn't busy on this April Friday afternoon. The bars sit with a thin layer of chalk and the horses are stable. Only a few gymnasts are here doing voluntary training. But there's one person whose mind isn't focusing on next season just yet.
It's just kind of like a game of see what sticks or see what doesn't.
LSU freshman Aaliyah Finnegan is training for her return to elite gymnastics. She didn't leave elite in 2021 because of injuries. College gym is at the level below elite, the Olympic level. And she wasn't alone in leaving.
You know, it's pretty common after like an Olympic quadranium to be able to be done with elite.
But then came the opportunity to return to international competition. The 2019 Pan Am Games gold medalist got a call in September. It was from the Gymnastics Association of the Philippines.
Yeah, they called me and they said, they gave me a list of meets that they were like, here, you can go to any of these that you want. And I kind of looked at it and I knew this one was going to be right after season, so I knew it was probably going to be the easiest considering I had already been, training this whole year.
Most gymnasts who return to elite stick with their home country. Finnegan wasn't. She was going to represent her mother's home country. Choosing the meet was the easiest part of the whole process.
So there's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of phone calls, a lot of contracts you have to sign to be able to switch nationalities to be able to compete for that country. So I was a little bit unsure, especially because I knew it was going to be right after season and I wasn't sure how I was going to feel at that time.
After going back and forth, Finnegan finally made her commitment in March. She was going to compete at the Southeast Asian Games. That also meant taking care of her responsibility outside gymnastics. So
I actually sent a message to the Philippine the heads and the associations of it, and I was like, hey, the week that I leave is actually finals week, and so I asked them if they could send me a letter, an official letter, to be able to send to my professors to be able to take all of my finals early.
Finnegan's return hasn't been easy in the gym either. She had an evaluation the Wednesday after this practice, one of the last major hurdles. These practices haven't been about learning new skills as much as refining existing ones, but despite all the extra requirements for elite, it's still the same sport.
At the end of the day, you just have to think of okay, what can you hit all the time?
Aaliyah Finnegan finished her final American practice Friday, May 6th. It's been a long and tedious journey back, but that's what it takes to be elite. Reporting for LSU, I'm Ben Schluter. Baton Rouge launched its bike-sharing program with Gotcha in 2019. The city's current fleet of 129 bikes has had its fair share of issues. LSU Executive Director of Facility and Property Oversight, Tammy Milliken, says those issues start with the number of bikes.
Well, the plan was to have close to 500 bikes on hubs in the city. Unfortunately, the pandemic caused that to slow down because they get the bikes and the parts from China.
It's common for a rack built for 16 to have maybe one or two bikes. However, LSU Mechanical Engineering Junior Julius Pilata says empty racks aren't the worst problem.
Probably 2 or 3 times a week I have to go to 2 or 3 gotcha stations to find a working bike.
You see, they're not just any bikes, they're electric bikes, and they break constantly, from battery issues to everything else.
Other issues with the bike include it'll charge you fees just that you don't deserve. It'll say that you never ended your ride, or it'll say, different errors like that, and it'll charge you $10 fees just here and there.
So what's being done to try and address these issues? Well, Bolt, the company who bought Gotcha last year, is getting around the supply chain issues.
They have reached out to factories in Japan and also in India to get bike parts and bicycles from those countries, and that has been successful, and so they have some shipments that are coming in.
This should increase the number of working bikes and fix the random fees. Reporting for LSU, I'm Ben Schluter. LSU has published the Reveille on a regular basis since 1897. Its website has story archives going back to 2009. University archivist Zach Tompkins often shows off much older papers.
As you can see, the Reveilles were bound in these leather volumes some time ago.
LSU Library secured funding to upload 105 years of Reveille history to the Louisiana Digital Library. In 4.5 years, they've uploaded issues from 1897 to 1913 and 1959 to 1975. That chunk is still useful for those like LSU media history professor Will Maury.
And I have assigned a section of the material online to students to look at with particular events like the integration controversies of the 1960s and civil rights, for example, within the Reveille's coverage.
The actual digitization happens in the basement of Hill Memorial Library. It's a multi-step process to turn a paper into a searchable resource, and that convenience has unintended consequences.
Sometimes students who do not have access to high-speed internet at home from more rural areas of Louisiana have trouble getting on that site because it's pretty flash-heavy and uses a fair bit of bandwidth.
It may seem like Reveille archives are hard to access, but they aren't. Tompkins makes sure to note there's another option.
Just because they're not online doesn't mean that you can't access them. Hill Memorial is free and open to the public, so that is a resource that we want to share with the community.
He also recommends using the digital library and giving feedback. The best way for them to improve is to hear from users. Reporting for Tiger TV, I'm Ben Schluter.